Welcome to Turning Moments into Movements, where each week we explore simple but powerful wellbeing tips to help you live a balanced and fulfilling life. My name's Leanne Ross, your host and the founder and coach of my business, Happy Luya, and I will be taking you through today's 15 minutes of insight and inspiration. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to this week's episode. We are going to be talking about the power of journaling. And the power of journaling is something that I really often talk about with my clients. It's very much a hot topic. And it's something that I think a lot more people are interested in and are starting to become more invested in, because there's so much more research around why it is important to journal, how it can be helpful. But as always, I always like to remind people of this. If you are not a journaler, if you do not want to journal, that's completely fine. You take away from these episodes what you want. What's going to be helpful for you? What do you feel is going to be, most effective? And that's why I really like to try and provide sort of a varied, diverse range of wellbeing tips and tricks, because within my coaching style, I'm very much person-centered. That's, really ensuring that you're getting the best support possible. But I can't specifically do that on podcasts because I do have sort of a wider audience. So making sure that you just kind of pick and choose what you feel is going to be helpful for you, try and test them out, and then take things from there. So I started to journal in effect because I felt I had so much stuff going on in my head, so many thoughts, so many things to do, and I just needed a place to offload. And the reason why I chose journaling is, I've got an amazing group of friends, I'm really close with my family, my partner, but with journaling, it's really, really amazing because you don't have to be filtered. Don't get me wrong, I'm not filtered to a lot of people in my life. I'm really fortunate that I do have kind of those relationships where I can just say it how it is. But sometimes it's really great to just have that safe space. And sometimes you're not looking for a response. You're just looking for a place to offload everything that's in your head onto paper or onto an app or, electronically or voice memos, however you wish to journal. So in this episode, we will be covering the 5 reasons to journal. So really looking at the benefits and how it can help you and your well-being if this is something that you want to tap into and try out in order to support your own well-being and mental resilience. So the first one I want us to touch on is really supporting self-reflection and growth. Journaling can really help us to gain clarity. It can really help us to gain insight. And it can really prompt that practice of self-reflection. And what I really love about this first one is if you are engaging in self-reflection and working on your self-growth frequently, it will really help to develop your self-worth, your self-confidence, and probably most importantly, your understanding around yourself. If you have really good self-awareness, that will get you so far in life. You will have a better understanding around, what typical jobs that you want to do, what career you want to be in. It will help to form better relationships. It will help to improve your resilience. The list is endless. It's something that's going to be really helpful if you do start to journal, because self-reflection can be really key when you journal, because you can look back, you can read over everything that you've written and just take a moment to be like, okay, what was going on for me then? Is there anything that I need to sort of readjust in my life to ensure that I don't feel like that again? or, to reduce the frequency of feeling like that. It could also, allow you to be a bit more solution focused. So, I've seen me do this. I will write and rant about something that's really bothering me, and then I'll maybe read it over a couple of days later, and I'll just almost see a solution within the words. I'll see what needs to happen once I have that breathing space and I'm able to self-reflect a bit more. So that would be my first point. It's really, really helpful to develop those skill sets. The next one is to stay organised and on track with your goals and intentions. Journaling every single day, you will see patterns emerge. You will see things that happen. And if you're journaling every week, saying things like, oh gosh, I set goals this week, I didn't achieve any of them, I'm really annoyed. Or if you're writing down, I'm so excited, I achieved another goal, I had a really successful week, I'm really happy. That will give you insight around what you need to stop doing and continue doing. So it's a really good way to be almost a bit more analytical around your week. How do you want to win your week? What do you want to change? What do you want to improve? And doing tasks like this can be really, really helpful. And it keeps us accountable. There's so much research to suggest that having an accountability partner when you're goal setting and goal achieving is really going to propel you to move forward with those goals that you're setting. So using your journal as a bit of accountability is going to be really helpful to enhance the likelihood of you truly setting your stage to success. The third one is creative writing, and I'm going to add a bit to that. So it's basically developing your skills around creative writing. Now, creative writing can really help us to tap into that creativity side of our brain. It can also help us to feel more inspired. It can help us to just really develop our writing skills and really kind of let loose and be once again unfiltered. And what I find with creative writing is it can really help us to just release everything that we need to. I'm wondering actually when I'm talking out loud, I think I need to change this to expressive writing. So creative writing is really great, but I'm actually going to change this. This is how I roll, guys. I change things all the time. I like to be vulnerable. I like to call myself out and be like, actually, I think you can do better. I think you can think of an even better writing skill. So let's go with expressive writing. So expressive writing or free writing is a really great technique because it just allows you to write and not think about what's going on. You just write to your heart's content. You write until you feel better. You write until you feel ready to stop. And expressive writing can really help us to reduce considerations of suppression. As a social worker who was in the field for over 10 years, I suppressed a lot. It was almost a technique that I tapped into. It was almost something that was encouraged to leave work at the workplace, not to bring it into your home. But if you've got to do that all the time, generally you just have to suppress. You just have to keep everything down. You have to put a lid on it and try and forget that it happened. And long term, that can be really damaging and detrimental to your health. So using expressive writing is a really amazing way just to let loose. You're giving yourself that permission to be as unfiltered as you want. And it can really help to come out or to support emotions coming out that have maybe been suppressed. I remember once, actually, it was when I was living in Australia, I was having a day where I just was really frustrated. I was really hurt about a situation that had happened to me, and I just went and bought like a notebook, and I journaled for ages. And after a few days, I read it back and I could not believe some of the stuff that I'd come out with. It was stuff that had happened years ago that I was really holding on to, and I'd still felt hurt over, and I'd been triggered because of it. But it was so strange because I was just writing freely and, not with much intention. I actually hadn't even remembered some of the stuff that I'd written about until I read it back only a few days later. So it can be really therapeutic. It can be a really great toolkit to tap in with expressive writing through journaling. And as I say, creative writing is also amazing. It can also relieve stress and anxiety. So that would be the fourth one. So providing yourself with that safe outlet. Your journal is not going to judge you because it's a book. It's not something that's going to, come and say, oh, I can't believe you said this. It just gives you that safe space. And that is why therapy, counselling, coaching is all on the rise. There's a much bigger demand of it because people really yearn for that safe space. And journaling is a really good way to kind of almost step into that. So really dipping your toe into exploring how you feel about sharing some of your darkest secrets, sharing the things that aren't going right for you, sharing the things that typically you hide from everyone else. So it can be a really, really great tool to tap into when we are looking for that safe space. So that would be number 4. And then the final one is building up your intuition. Now, I always say that intuition is your superpower. If you are in tune with your gut, in tune with your intuition, your feelings, please, please, please keep building on that. And if you don't have a strong connection with your intuition, start to build it up. And I'm talking about those little nudges, those little niggles. You maybe meet someone and you're just like, I just don't know about you. I'm not sure. I just feel that there's something there. I don't know what it is, but I just feel a bit uncomfortable. The majority of the time, if not all the time, there will be actually yes. All of the time there will be something behind that. So really making sure that you listen to your intuition as much as possible. I will be doing an episode on this because it's a passion of mine. But journaling can really help us to tune into that intuitive power because we're really taking comfort in our words. We're really trusting that we have something important to say. If we're writing it down, if we're taking time to journal, it can really help us to flourish and tune into our intuition because we develop that relationship with ourselves that's more insightful, that's developed more self-awareness, more self-recognition, more self-reflection. And if we provide and create that space for us, then our intuition will absolutely grow. It's such an amazing skill set to have. So, to recap, the 5 reasons to journal would be to, it enhances our self-reflection and growth mindset. It allows us to stay organised and keep track of our goals and progress. It helps us to develop skills around expressive writing and supports us from not suppressing emotions and really releasing that. It helps to relieve stress and anxiety and provides a safe space for us. And it also allows us to tune into our intuition and allow that to flourish. Another couple quick tips, because we do have a minute left. If you are not a writer, so typically I'm a writer, I love writing, but if you don't find that helpful, try different techniques. My client, who's an avid listener, so I'm sure she'll be listening to this episode, she had recommended an app I'll actually look if I can put it to the show notes. So she uses an app and says how helpful that is. Some people use voice memos. Some people will just talk out loud to themselves, maybe when they're driving home from work or if they're sitting in the house. Journaling is so accessible, and there's so many different tools that can really help us to enhance our ability to engage in journaling, and really ensuring that it works for you and it is being done in a way that feels right for you. Thank you so much for listening. I really look forward to hearing how you get on, if you found this episode particularly helpful. If you are already a journaler, is that the right word? Or are you someone who's just looking to dip your toe in? Let me know. Connect with me on social media. I love talking to people. It's my favourite thing to do in the world. So, other than drink wine. But yeah, make sure you connect with me. I would love to hear how you get on. And yeah, if you have any topics that you would like for me to cover, get in touch as well. I literally have a notebook full of sort of suggestions that I've thought of for my podcast series. But if you guys have anything, please let me know. I would love to cover, any topics that you like that does fall under the umbrella of well-being. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you all and speak to you all next week. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Turning Moments into Movements. Why not check out coaching opportunities with me so you can really begin to enhance your moments into huge movements and begin to live the life you never thought possible? Details are in the show notes. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, leave a review and share this episode. Remember to also follow me on social media platforms through my handle Happyluia, where you will receive additional daily content. And finally, make sure you join us next week for more tips on how you can turn your small moments into life-changing movements.